Kevin, just for clarification, I can comment, but I can't vote.
That's correct.
I've already looked at them.
Yeah.
I like to, as I'm going along.
Oh yeah, good.
You've got
exactly.
Okay, lovely.
Easier, I find.
Okay.
I've just worked for there.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this meeting of Woodley Town Council's Planning and Community Committee, being held on the 23rd of May 2023. Woodley Town Council meetings are now recorded, with recordings streamed live and stored on the Council's YouTube channel. By virtue of attending the meeting, you consent to your image and audio being recorded for this purpose. If you do not wish for your image or audio to be recorded, then please do not stay for the meeting. For those in attendance, we're not expecting a fire drill tonight. So if you do hear a fire alarm, please head to the nearest fire exit and congregate at the fire assembly point in front of the Oakwood Centre in Woodford Park. So the first item on the agenda is the appointment of chairman and vice chairman.
Kevin, should I interrupt before you start? I wonder if I could have confirmation of the members of this committee, because the members we've got at the top of the page here don't match the members that were nominated at full council and on the recording, etc. Because it was Councillor Gutteridge that was nominated for plans and not Councillor Holmes. I wondered if that could be clarified, obviously in terms of voting.
Okay. I should wait for a while. Not how you spell Borough.
Didn't put planning list.
Who's nominated? It should be Gutteridge and not Holmes. Right.
So according to Standing Order 9.5, then that nomination can be changed, but only at the next full council. Am I correct in saying that?
It should be Councillor Gutteridge, and that is a mistake on the agenda invite.
So that's it. That's how it stays. Okay.
That's just a mistake on the agenda. When did you spot that?
Well, it was earlier on when I was looking at the planning applications finally.
If in future anyone sees any mistakes on the agenda, please do feel free to email me immediately, because then I could have corrected it and sent it and made sure that I think that was still not available. I think she was still not actually around at the moment, but I could have then corrected it. That would have been really helpful. Okay.
So we will note that in the something. Okay, thank you. So moving on to the appointment of chairman and vice chairman of the committee for the municipal year. Do we have any nominations for the position of chairman? Yeah, I'd like to nominate Councillor Bill Soane, please. Is there a seconder for?
I'll just second.
Okay, and do we have any other nominations? Okay, and can we vote on that, please?
4. Against. Abstentions. 5-4, none against, 2 abstentions.
Okay.
Should the last bit of next to be nominated?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yes.
Thank you.
Right, thank you very much. We now move on to the position of vice chairman. And do we have any nominations for vice chairman? I'll nominate Robert Hoskins.
Second that.
All those in favour?
5-4. Any against? Any abstentions? 5 for, none against, 2 abstentions again.
Okay, thank you very much. Before I move on to apologies, I would like to make reference to the past chairman of this committee, Philip Wicks, who did a really excellent job in chairing this committee. In fact, I'm rather sad that he did do such an excellent job because it would be hard to follow. But I think we'd all agree, those members that actually were on the committee with him, how excellent he was. So I will try my best. But thank you very much to Philip for all he did in the past. Do we have any apologies?
Yes, we have apologies from councillors Cheng and Bragg. Councillor Bragg has made us aware that he's attending virtually, so he's on Zoom tonight.
Okay, thank you very much. Do we have any declarations of interest? No. Okay, moving on to item 4 on the agenda, minutes of the Planning and Community Committee meeting held on the 25th of April 2023. Everybody happy that they are a true record of that meeting, and can I sign them as such? Right, we come on to the current planning application. Item 5 on the agenda starts at page 5 of your agenda pack. And we start with application 223458, Solid Golf Club, Duffield Road. This is a neighbouring application. It's not a Woodley application, but bearing in mind that it does involve impact on many people within Woodley, we have the opportunity to make comments on there. I don't know whether anybody has anything to add. So because this has been with us before, comments have been made, and we've made those comments to Wokingham Borough. Does anybody have anything to add further to it?
I'm very minded of the amount of comments from those who live nearby, who I think know best about how it affects them.
There's been a number, hasn't there? Been a bit.
Yeah. And their points that they raise are not just emotional, they're saying it's not.
Yes, Councillor Bragg.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Reading through all the comments, there's a lot on the biodiversity of a golf club, the possible reptiles on the course, particularly slowworms, insects and birds. And I didn't appreciate there's actually one spotted woodpecker that frequents that area where the development is to go ahead. I don't think in this planning application, where all right, they've reduced it from 54 to 50, but it's too dense. It's not going to help housing in the borough or in Woodley because of the type of houses permission is being requested. It's going to greatly increase traffic flow on Duffield Road. Schools, the nearest primary school is Willowbank down the road, and there will be car runs from the new houses for children to that school, because you can't let the children walk down from the golf course down Duffield Road to Willowbank. Exactly the same with senior school. No, very, very much against it. There are further back surveys that need carrying out. There's so much in the reports that have been done so far that indicate they've been done at the wrong time of the year because of the weather conditions. They must fully investigate the effect on the environment before even considering the go-ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, I think environmental issues came up in the report. I think we've seen that, not necessarily specifically to some species that you've mentioned. Obviously, the environment will be one issue. Does anybody feel that we need to make further reference on that to report to Wokingham before we move on? I think obviously the purpose about pedestrianisation where walking across the two bridges is very difficult, and one that I should think highways would have taken note of. But whether that's going to make any difference, I don't know. Are we happy that it has gone before? We're happy to leave as that and make no further comments.
Yes, thanks.
Thank you. Right. Next one on the agenda is application 230178, 53 Reading Road. This is an application for drop curb of vehicle of access. Actually, I think, and so perhaps I don't know whether I should have declared the interest because the applicant is, well, the applicant's wife. The applicant is a member of Wokingham Borough Council, councillor Shari Eunice. So whether or not that falls in as a, you wouldn't think so, no, okay. Anyway, it's an application for a drop curb for vehicle access onto a drive. And looking at the plans, there is a drop curb for one entrance. He's obviously making this an in and an out. So are there any comments anybody wishes to make on that? Do you have any views that would be contrary to the application?
No, I do, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. You obviously have two parking spaces from the drop curb to where they want to put the new drop curb. We're going to lose two. Is there going to be enough space between the two gates to maintain at least one parking space on that one?
You can park on there, can you?
I think you can.
You can, right. But it's up near Western Avenue, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right up near.
Yeah.
I don't know. Possibly.
That's looking on street view again. I was wondering whether it would be something to do with parking spaces, because we lose two potentially.
Well, it's youth on the computers at this speed.
I would suggest that it's actually safe.
Single.
Okay.
So that could be used out of hours, but I think it's.
Yeah, but it's opposite that one.
Yeah.
To use it.
I would suggest that that's also safer, this option, because it will allow the householder to drive in and out, sort of forwards, so he won't be backing out onto the Reading Road or backing in off the Reading Road.
Certainly would make it safer that way, wouldn't it?
I think
drive in, drive out.
The gate's already there, so we could do so anyway if you wanted to.
Oh yes, bounce it down the curve. But yeah. I think the thing is that once you put a drop curb in, it does stop parking. You know, it's actually I think it becomes a criminal offence on a drop curb, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a statutory offence. Yeah.
So we'll lose that one, but
That's fine. As long as it's one between
there's
between
one.
the two gates, that's fine. I didn't know if it was going to be big enough to maintain one space. That's fine.
Okay. Any other points anybody wish to raise on that? No? Okay, thank you. Application 230765, 7 Manor Way. This is an application, a change of use of amenity land and residential garden, including the extension of a new boundary wall. Plus the insertion of roof lights. I think we've looked at this one before, did we?
Yeah.
We had it before, but obviously there's been an amendment to the use of the amenity land, the fence, well, not the amenity land, there's a position of the fence. So are we happy that that one goes forward, or do you wish to make any further comments now that that has been altered? Do you think it's made a difference? Sorry.
Bill, I was just going to ask, obviously being new to this committee, so whose land is it anyway? Is it the householders? Because the word is amenity land. What does that actually mean?
I believe it's the householder's land, but it's always been classed as amenity land. There's a grey area on this. Is there? I'm asking for advice on this myself, but I think it's
generally amenity land tends to be referred to as any sort of
Okay.
space
I'll
around
come
the
out in a
estate.
moment. You go back.
Right, I'm sorry.
Right.
all right.
It tends to be kind of any green land around an estate, and even though it may fall under the kind of the plot of the ownership of a property, it doesn't necessarily mean that where it has been amenity land in future in the past, that someone can then just take it and move it into their property by building a fence around it. I think that tends to be the use of the word amenity in that sense.
So generally speaking, nobody's going to know that, are they? That is their garden or not. So I don't have any objection to that, have I? At all, because you wouldn't assume looking at that that was.
But I think what the householder is proposing to do now is to put a fence at the front of where the hedge is.
The line.
And then I'm assuming he's going to take the hedge out, because if you look at it from above, it is a massive hedge.
There's going to be a wall, isn't it? A new boundary wall.
Well, no, that's what they've changed. I think originally they were going to build a boundary wall close to the pavement.
Right.
And that's what people were exercising.
Oh, I see. Yeah, read on, Robert. Yeah.
And so now he's proposing to put a wooden fence immediately in front of that hedge, which is.
This is the picture that so in response to lots of comments on this, so there've been comments historically on this, where the plan originally was to build a fence line almost in line with the pavement, and there were concerns about one, taking that amenity land into the property's garden, but two, also creating what would be a bit of a blind bend, where at the moment at least there's a little bit of sight. And the applicant has responded to further complaints about that by just, I think, hopefully you've read all the information on here, but the key is this red line is indicating where the applicant is now saying the fence will be, when previously I believe it was right out here. So the revised design is just to bring that back in line with there.
That's going to be a fence with a trellis on the top. I was thinking from the people opposite, and again, I'm assuming the whole point about amenity land is it just enhances the environment, and because people over the road haven't got very big frontages to the house, so if that had disappeared, you're effectively looking at a wall. So I mean, I guess I don't know whether that will satisfy the people who registered the objections, but certainly the householder has amended what he's proposed to do to retain that land.
Difficult to object to what he's proposing if he's not taking the amenity land.
Right.
So, I would have thought that would have been difficult, but I don't know. How do you feel? Is there any comments that we should make on this now? Bearing in mind that he's changed these.
Agree in principle, so long as the fence follows that red line.
Well, that's what he's proposing, and that's the way that the application is worded. So if he didn't, then it's an enforcement case, isn't it?
Councillor Bragg.
Yes, Councillor Bragg.
The building of a fence will certainly make it out of character with the street.
Yeah, I don't know whether there's any other issues, any other fences. It's mainly the brick, is it? The brick wall there with the infill of fencing.
Relatively open otherwise when you
Yeah, it is. That there is a bit of both, isn't it? Is it below? It's all brick. Yeah. We could make the comment that we feel that a wooden fence with trellis on top is out of keeping with the street scene.
Maybe a lower fence.
I think he's looking for privacy.
It's just quite hard.
Yeah.
Let's just say he's going to take the hedge out.
Well, I don't know. I'm guessing that because they're reading it through. They're trying to make some more room because they're putting an extension in to put a bit more room in their garden, and the fence is the hedge is pretty mighty. So, but I'm just guessing that.
The message in here, I know it's a bit small to read on the screen, but it basically says new 1.8 metre high timber fence incorporating trellis top, climbers and shrubs to be planted on the verge to replace lost vegetation.
So he's going to cover the fence with.
Yeah.
So on the verge, that means this side.
This side, yes.
We'll end up as a tunnel.
Well, I guess if you have a fence with greenery in front of it,
No problem.
And as long as the danger of that blind bend, I thought that was
Yeah.
quite a valid concern.
I think he covers that also in his response, because there's another house, the other side of it has a bush that comes right out.
Just further past those bags.
He says this fence is inside the visibility splay line as described on the original deeds. So there'll be no effect on the driver's visibility around the corner. Also, you can see there's a much larger bush on the property behind us that comes out way beyond our fence. They're talking about this. Yeah, you can see as you move around the corner.
Perhaps we should just say that a fence would be out of keeping with the street scene as it is at the moment, and the intrusion of vegetation or green growing up would, you know, if it would overcome that, if we could make that a condition. But it will be. Well, I don't know whether we're able to do that, but I don't see why not. We can make that recommendation anyway. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
So no objection, but we feel the fence is out of keeping with the street scene and inclusion of vegetation would overcome that. So I would ask that that's made a condition.
Yeah. Right. Where are we? That was managed. Right. 230780, 29 Woodlands Avenue. Householder application of the proposed direction of a single-storey rear extension following demolition of the existing conservatory, conversion of the lot to habitable accommodation, including new dormers, roof alterations, changes to fenestration. This one will make this property a 5-bedroom property, 3 on the ground floor and 2 which are existing in the room space or in the. And I think we had room for, was it 2 vehicles or 3 vehicles? I can't remember. The parking, just that concern if there is an issue over greater number of residents and need for greater parking.
That's normally a condition of adding a bedroom, isn't it? You have to have an extra space.
But there's a policy of number of parking spaces per household, depending on how many rooms. I don't know whether 5 would make that necessary to go up 1 more space. What have we got there at the moment? You see whether there is.
Unfortunately, the plans don't appear to actually show parking provision from what I can see. I'm just going to bring up again, bring up the street view if I can, see if we can see what it looks like from the Woodlands Avenue.
By doing this particular conversion, he's not losing any parking space. He's not using any parking space, existing parking space, but it's just whether in the addition of another bedroom would necessitate another parking space.
I think it's probably one of these 3 properties. It's a bit difficult to see exactly which one, but they are all, to be fair, the same. They all do have quite a bit of driveway space, don't they?
Right, so we should be okay. Any objections at all on that? Any comments? Sorry.
Yes, no, I haven't got an objection to this. They've done the same as everybody else. A lot of other people have done there. And I'm sure a lot of the others have got the same number of bedrooms, so I've got no objection.
Okay. Thank you. No, so no comments. Thank you very much.
And you think I was invisible?
230852, 45 Woodway. Householder application for the proposed single-storey rear extension plus changes to fenestration. Any comments on that one at all? Anybody have any issues with that? No. No. Okay, that one's okay. 230896, 100 Weevil Drive. Householder application for the proposed erection of a single-storey rear extension following removal of existing shed. Any issues on that one that you can see? Any concerns? Oh, Councillor Bray.
Yeah, the only thing I noticed on that is the planned extension does go a long way back at the rear of the property. I'm just a little bit concerned as to what effect it's going to have on number 98.
Right, there's been no comments from neighbours as far as I remember.
No.
To this, I don't think there has been. So it may not be an issue for the neighbours that are there at the moment. Does it extend far? Yes.
It is 90, I think it's 96 next, the next door number. I don't know what happened to the number in between, but it's actually stepped forward of the house, so it's staggered. So it means that it goes back further, it's going to run along their garden.
But it's within what it's allowed, isn't it? 'Cause you can go pushing halfway down your garden there, it says.
116 goes back further, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yes. Do you think that's an issue that we should raise, or no neighbourhood?
I don't think so.
No.
That's a neighbour.
Okay, happy with that, thank you. 230905 is 24 Roxton Road. Householder application for proposed erection of a single-storey front extension, single-storey rear extension, and amendments to the existing roof following demolition of existing conservatory. I think this one, if we got a picture of that, didn't actually take a great deal of space, that's it.
Yeah.
So again, it's sort of squaring it off, isn't it? So are there any issues on that? I don't think there were any, sorry, a bit.
Thanks, Jim. It was only having looked through the planning application, people were talking about bats roosting. We just, and it was saying unlikely to be bat roosting. Can we just get confirmation that there aren't any bats roosting or any other wildlife?
I've got a feeling that's always done automatically. I think the borough do a survey, do they?
There should be, I think there's
They did a survey.
and I think it's a bit like, you know, when you have a house survey done and
Yeah.
you read it and you think my
Exactly.
house is going to fall down, if they caveat it, so.
It might happen in my life, but they get inclusive and saying yes.
Well, I don't think, well, I think reading it, I've read a few of them today and they all seem to be, well, we couldn't see any bats.
Yes.
There's no whole story. But they won't say categorically they are. Just,
I thought somebody would look and go, there are definitely none here, for example.
It's a requirement for all planning applications within Woking Borough that a bat survey takes place to say whether there are bats roosting or likely to be bats roosting. Unless Woking on their planning maps, they have an area or certain areas that they've said that's not needed, but pretty much for every area.
Okay, so we're quite happy with that one to go ahead, yeah? Okay. 230911, 132 Antrim Road, household application for the proposed erection of a single-storey detached outbuilding in the rear garden. This is retrospective. There is a neighbour objection for overbearing in size and height, I believe, is it?
proximity to the fence, the shed.
Yes, boundary, is it? Yeah.
And there's another retrospective request for another.
Oh, yes, sorry, on the next one as well.
Same,
Yes. Yeah. Always amazes me how many retrospectives we get.
Big chance in their arm, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, or whether it's ignorance of people, because I mean, you look at it and you could say, oh, it's just a big shed. And actually, it was something I was going to ask afterwards, whether it was something worth putting in, on our site or something, prompting people, because there were 4, later on the agenda, there are 4 people who've been banned for doing some things.
Yes.
But going back to this, I mean, it's a handsome looking building, but
Yes.
it is, I don't know how the height compares with the
It
shed.
looks okay here because I put sheds up for people and you have to have a certain height by the fence, but how many people's fences measure 1.8 metres? Lots of people have different.
It's very close and what the neighbours have been complaining.
It looks, yeah, it looks okay, but that's not for us to decide, is it?
Carol, did you?
Chair, have we given up putting up hands? Can we just speak? I don't know what I'm bothering really. I'd like to take 230911 and 230912 together because they're both the same plot. I don't have as much of an issue with the first one with 911 because it's It's the one, there's one that's in the centre of the plot and there's one right on the edge. Yeah, that one on the
This-
right.
This is the 9.
Yes,
the
911.
911, and that's
Yeah.
912. Yeah.
911 is nearer the house. So often people put these outbuildings up, don't like the look of them, so they put them as close to the neighbours as they can, it would seem. So, but 911, apart from the lighting issue that somebody's pointed out, but on 912, that's right up against the fence. It impacts residents in Carrick Gardens. And I think it is overbearing and with looking at the height of it. But with both 911 and 912, no height dimensions are given, either in the forms or the diagrams. And I don't think that's good enough. If we've got making a decision, we need to have the information. And there should be dimensions on a drawing. And I think we should highlight that. There's a mention by the resident about spotlights. I don't know if it's that bad. It sounds like it might be like a prisoner of war camp. But anyway, very bright lights that are having an impact on the neighbours. So I think 912 is unneighbourly, overbearing, and it's a very large extension outbuilding. 911 isn't so bad. That doesn't sound very policy minded, does it? But I think 911 I don't have so much of an objection to.
I think, yeah, your point about the measurements and dimensions should be something that we have available to us to make a decision. Yeah.
Councillor Bragg did have his hand up.
Oh, sorry.
He's put his hand down.
Yeah.
Councillor Bragg, did you?
Yeah,
say that?
looking at the objections on there was only one that I really saw that was in favour of it. The majority of them were complaining about the light invasion from the floodlights that he's got there. Can we make it a condition of planning that suitable lighting is put in to cut out glare over neighbours' land?
Yeah, I don't see that to be a problem. We should do that. I read him somewhere that he doesn't have a permanent electricity supply. Did it say that somewhere in the application? So they might just be very bright solar, which basically a bit of a problem in the winter, wouldn't he? I thought there was something about the power supply.
Does say that, doesn't it? And
Response in something. I think he's definitely read it somewhere.
Yeah.
as well.
So we'll make that point anyway, certainly about the lighting. Carol.
Yeah, could I make a proposal that we have no objection to 230911 and that we object to 230912 on the grounds of its unneighbourliness, overbearing? The lighting issue, I think, should cover both of those. If there's any lighting, it should be conducive to the garden and not impacting the neighbours.
Yeah.
I don't know if everybody agrees with that.
So were there complaints about the 1-2?
There was only one complaint. The other letter was from the applicant.
So I don't remember.
Oh, sorry.
Councillor Sane, can you please clarify for Councillor George, how you wish to chair this meeting? Do you wish us to raise our hands every time we wish to speak?
Sorry.
It's me that's a little bit slow.
But do you wish us to do that? I just think it slows down the discussion of things.
Yeah, but it can get a bit out of hand if everybody's trying to overspeak.
And how would you like to be addressed?
Oh, I
Don't tempt me.
you really want me to? How me or
You, how would you like to be addressed?
well, it should be chairman, but I'm quite happy with Bill. Yeah, where was I? I'm sorry. Yeah, I think raising hands stops sort of cross contaminations of voices. So if we could try that. If I miss somebody, just shout at me. Right. 230953, 39 Western Avenue. Application to vary condition 2 of planning consent 214058 for the proposed development of a single-storey rear and side extensions, including removal of pitch roof to the existing rear extension following demolition of the existing detached garage. Condition 2 refers to the approved details And the variation is to allow the infilling of the step in the rear elevation and changes to fenestration. Anybody have any comments on that one at all? So obviously this one has been through as 214058, and this is just a variation of that one. So quite happy with that. Going forward. Thank you very much. And 231030, 3 Cops Mead. Application to vary conditions. Well, you could all read it. So do you want me to read it? But you can read it there. Save me reading it all out. Anybody have any comments on that one? This is just in on Cops Mead on the right-hand side, and they're quite separated, these properties, I believe, from one another. So I don't know what impact it would have on neighbours, but it does on the view. It shows it as quite a large property. So if anybody has any comments, have you got anything on there? The proposal is, I think, it's close to its neighbour, isn't it? But I mean, they're all considerably large properties. He's not building beyond. Any comments at all on that one? Any reasons for making objections or any concerns? If not, that one will go through. Thank you very much. 231074, 84 Haddon Drive. Again, application of road erection and replacement.
You've missed 231031 and 231032. I know you want to finish the meeting.
Sorry, missed that one. Yeah, I'll go back. 231031, 33 Fawcett Crescent. Household application with proposed erection of a first floor side extension and a single story rear extension following demolition of existing building. And 032, same property, household application for the proposed erection of a single story rear extension following demolition of existing outbuilding. So no neighbour objections from 31, which is the neighbour. Side extension doesn't seem, I've got down, no, it doesn't seem to have any impact on any neighbours at all. Am I right in that?
So when they're planning that side extension, is back onto the back of the garden at number 20 Blossom Road.
Yes. So is there any issues? Yes, Carol.
I think with both of those, because they've obviously put in the second one just in case the first one's refused and they don't get the single story, but I don't have an objection to either of those. The only issue, but it happens already, in the other end of Fawcett, is that there's a fence up against the driveway and it does create a blind spot, but it's the same when you look at the rear of number 8 Roslyn. You can't penalise him because of that, but I was looking at the parking and sort of coming out, there's a fence there, but it's not his fence, so he can't do anything anyway. But I don't have an objection.
Okay. No other points anybody wish to raise? Okay, no objection on that one. Right, right, we come back to Haddon Drive, 231074. Household erection of the rear extension, existing ground floor extension, 2-story side extension following demolitions of existing conservatory. Any comments on that one? I couldn't see any major issues there, so I don't know whether anybody else can see any objections. No? Okay, that one will go through. Thank you. 231075. 21 Wilmington Close, household renovation for the proposed replacement of existing garage door with 1 number window to facilitate garage conversion to create habitable space.
Just finishing off the conversion that's already been done.
Yeah. Any comments at all? No. Okay, that one's go through. 231101, Tiverton Close. Household application of the proposed erection of a single story side extension to form garage, part single story, Part 2-storey rear extension, plus changes to fenestration and demolition of existing garage. See anything on that one? No? Everybody happy? Right. And 231141, 61 Norton Road, household application for proposed garage conversion with addition of a first floor side extension and internal works. Any comments on that one? Couldn't see anything at all. No? All happy with that one? Right, that's that. Thank you very much. Planning decisions, which are on page 7. I think withdrawn, no determination made by Wokingham Borough. None. Refused contrary to the Town Council recommendation. None. Refused endorsing the Town Council's recommendation. None. Approved contrary to the Town Council's recommendation was Kingfisher Drive. Post erection of a single-storey rear extension, Part 2-storey side extension, followed demolition of existing extension. So that one was approved against our recommendation of refusal. Right, endorsing the Town Council's recommendation, we've got Brockenwell Road, Arundel Road, Kelvinsmore Road, Rivermead Road, Manners, all agreed that recommendation. And that's is it. Any comments at all? Anybody wishes to make on any of those? Okay. Prior approval signature. It is application only requires consultation with adjoining neighbours of the site. This is 72 Antrim Road, Wokingham, Woodley, sorry. Application for the prior approval of extension, single-storey rear extension, which would extend beyond the rear wall of the original house by 6 metres, for which the maximum height would be 3 metres and the height of the eaves 3 metres. So that's really nothing we need to do on that one, is it? Tree preservation orders, application to trees works. We've got 5 applications that not require consultation, but just one in enforcing present. Yeah, Pollardin. Payment license. Again, I think we've seen this before.
They normally the payment license applications out in the year, I think annually.
Oh, right.
I think so often a lot of these places that happen on the in the town centre, you'll see these come back because they'll need to renew that application. We don't have chairs and tables, so often there isn't a change.
No.
We don't see a history, so it's a bit difficult for us to see.
Okay, so that one is just a copy one in the precinct. No problems there at all. Right, community speed watch regarding the history and current position regarding the town community speed watch. I don't know whether David, you want to make a comment on this and give us an update on what's happening.
Yeah, certainly. Where do I start? I mean, I had a chat with Matt on Monday. Was it? Yeah, it was Monday. I think regarding it, and he kindly did the report, which is on page 10 of the agenda. One thing that I would highlight, Matt, the camera will actually be used on a tripod, not on the lampposts. You've got greater control over it. I do apologise to everyone because my own personal circumstances since the latter part of August have been very, very difficult indeed, and I have not been able to progress it as I wished. I have spoken to PC Turnham and explained the position to him, and he has told me that if there's someone else that wants to take it over, there's no trouble, that can be done quite easily, and he would deal with anything. I'm quite happy to continue myself, but the one major problem that I do have is getting volunteers together. The whole situation needs to be explained to them fully, and they need to be registered by me on the system so that they can actually take the examination that is required of all people who are taking part in the Speedwatch program. Now, in fairness, it's a 30-minute video with a test at the end, and you've got to get 80% to, is it 80 or 90% to actually pass and be validated. I did send out letters to all the volunteers that were on the system in August, but being the heart of the holiday season, a lot of people couldn't make the times. And I did also send out in September, the beginning of September, a further request of people to get together. But it's very, very difficult to get everyone together. In point of fact, I think it was 4 of the volunteers that I had down withdrew, and they withdrew for the fact that the Speedwatch there is designed to catch people speeding. We have to report those with photographs of the car, the time, the location, the make of car and the model of car, the color, the number plate, the registration number, and everything about the conditions on the road, how far away from a bend, was it raining, had it been raining, and such like. All that has to be input to the police item along with the photo proof of the offence being done. In 90% of cases where you're catching someone doing 38 miles an hour in a 30 limit, the police won't take any action. They will register it, and they have a very good register, so they can pinpoint every car that has been doing that and what speed they are be doing, and they keep that. But it may be on the 4th attempt that an individual is caught that the police actually send out a letter to them. Now that is at low speed. If you catch someone doing 50 mile an hour or 55 mile an hour along Reading Road or something of that order, then the likelihood is prosecution will be done immediately. So it very much depends upon the speed and the time of day as to what action the police take. And that is why the people who did withdraw from volunteering withdrew. They thought it was pointless doing it. It isn't pointless at all. It highlights the problems in any area. And if there's a predominance of people doing 38 mile an hour down Reading Road, then they may not prosecute individually, but they will certainly arrange for their own van to be parked somewhere down there. The second major point of issue is location. Before you go out on a Speedwatch program, you have got to inform the police that on the 25th of June, you're going to go out to do a Speedwatch episode, let's say in Mohawk Way. Now, they won't give you permission until they've been out and actually done a risk assessment on the location. The main item on the risk assessment is the exit points. So, for example, if you want to run a Speedwatch campaign in Reading Road, there are very few exit points. because all the way down there are either brick walls or they're hedges. So if a car veers off the road while you're taking photographs, you've got no point of exit and someone gets injured. So at a place like that, you would need really to get the residents' agreement and permission to actually hold it in their driveway. In which case you've got that point of exit into their drive in the event of anything untoward happening. So it's not straightforward. And all this needs to be explained in person to volunteers before actually getting them to sign up. I will, if you want me to continue, I will update the volunteers remaining of the current situation and try and get a meeting at a time that I can get there and teach them. And then we can get them authorized and then proceed. That's that. But the other thing where we are having problem is John McNaught and Tom Barker, when they set it up initially, they linked all the cameras into their computer, which was based on the old Windows program. What's it called? Vista, that's it. Thank you, Matt. The old Vista program. Whereas all computers now mainly are either using Windows 10 or 11. So the computers that we have, the laptops, will not accept Vista information. And I'm having great difficulty in getting a link to get a driver down to be able to convert from Vista into Windows 10. That basically is the situation we're at the moment. Now, if anyone on the committee's got a question, I will answer it to the best of my ability.
Right, thank you very much. Just mention the police attitude towards Speedwatch. I think, I don't know whether it was in your report or I read somewhere that Matthew Barber is encouraging the police to take a more positive action on speeding and would encourage Speedwatch. Do you know if that's actually happening?
I haven't heard from PC Turnbull to say that it is, but if Matthew has actually stated that, I'm certain that they are discussing it and looking at which ways to do it, because they are all very keen on the Speedwatch program being a success.
Right. Matthew Barber brought it up a couple of years ago. He started pushing it when Thames Valley Police looked at joining this UK scheme, Community Speedwatch UK, which is the website and the ability to link in with police services, and the website is the kind of the hub that volunteers go on and coordinate their activities and enter the data, and it gets siphoned off. And it was Matthew Barber was really pushing on that at that time. That was a good 18 months ago that he was really publicly saying, we've done the trials, this is a good system, and he was trying to encourage people to use it.
I think, my view is that one of the things we do here when we're out talking to people is the problems with speeding on many of our roads. We've, as a council, invested money in this, and it would be a shame not to continue, not only because of the investment we've made, but because of the response we get from residents as to their feelings on speeding. I can understand all the pitfalls and all the problems that we have in getting it together, but I wonder whether another recruitment program, perhaps, in the Herald, pointing out that how this works and that we can use volunteers and very much encourage volunteers to come along and help us. Whether that would make a difference.
If, Mr. Chair, if you want me to continue, then I will certainly get out something on Woodley Grapevine asking for further volunteers so that we can move it forward as quickly as possible.
I think, well, everybody's feelings, do we want this to be something that we continue with as a committee? We're quite happy for that to happen. For David to pursue that, can I? Yes.
Just a couple of sort of points of information, really. I have seen this kind of video thing on online from the Community Speed Watch, which is actually a good explanation of why it's worthwhile doing, even though it's not leading to prosecutions. It's all about a changing of attitude, and it's actually a good thing. So to watch. So if we were interested in doing that, then we could push that out.
One thing that I would mention, and I haven't got the figures to prove it, but since we put out all the signage last year, I have personally received far fewer people coming to me and saying there's speeding here, there's speeding there. Walking out around Woodley, I have noticed fewer people speeding down Reading Road than live just off Reading Road. I've seen fewer people speeding, which suggests to me that seeing the signs in itself has been enough to forewarn people that they could be caught and consequently have slowed down. But I haven't got any figures to verify that. I do know that there have been instances at Sanford Farm estate, which I am presuming really is where they're coming out into Mohawk Way. And also, I believe there's been one or two instances down Church Road, which you mentioned to me, Robert, a little while ago. But other than that, I haven't really received a lot of complaints from residents.
Okay, thank you very much. I think the general feeling amongst this committee is that we would want it to continue, and we would be quite happy and very pleased if you would continue to take that role on, David.
Yep, most certainly. I'll be pleased to.
Thank you. Thank you, David.
Could I just, sorry.
Yeah.
Not waving, but drowning. Just a couple of questions really well for Councillor Bragg. Have you got a kind of gut feel for what the minimum number of volunteers we need to make this kind of effective? Because you're saying, we lost some people, and I guess these sort of things, if there's a gang of you, it's...
Yeah, theoretically, 3. Because that we need 2 people out on any Speed Watch campaign. As we've got a tripod held camera, we can get away with 2 individuals, and that's one person operating the camera and the other one making the notes of the conditions, the car, the vehicle, etc., etc. So 3 would be 1 reserve, but in all honesty, that would mean I would be out personally on every single event that was taking place, or whoever was running, or at least one of the volunteers would be out on every single one. So ideally, I really need a mix of about 7 or 8 volunteers, so that it doesn't become an onerous duty for the volunteers.
Well, thank you very much, David. Carol.
Yes, can I suggest I presume that we have a stand at the carnival, Woodley Carnival, that we have a something asking for volunteers for the Speed Watch there.
Yeah, good point. Okay, thank you very much. Any other points? Yes.
Sorry,
Yeah.
another one. Just around the kit. Have we actually got the kit? Well, we haven't at the moment. Not got kit that works. We're saying because we can't download the information.
Well, we got the kit that works, but we just can't download it. In a worst case scenario, I can phone up PC Turnham and get a camera from him. But by doing it with the handheld device, we would possibly need 3 people out on every visit.
Right. Not being technically minded myself, if we've got a camera, but it's not compatible with the computer, can we get something converted to make it compatible?
That's what I've been trying to do, Mr. Chair. I've been trying to get a download for a driver to convert from Vista into Windows 10. That will be a program that's designed specifically for the operation of the camera and the data logger.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay.
I believe at the time, so because I tried to get driving information down, so the issue was the Sentinel camera that we purchased in 2019 obviously was on an old operating system, and the newer operating systems it doesn't convert to. Plus, the company that produced that in 2019 were bought out by an American company who now own that software, and they don't have any access to kind of any contact to kind of get any help, and we have no support from them, so we can't get information. At the time of initially looking at this, what we did know is that the reason that the Thameslink Police were promoting it was that it was for individual groups to set up because they now had an affordable camera option, and they had said that I think for £150 an individual could go out and buy a handheld camera that would do exactly the same job as the £2.5 bit of kit that we purchased years ago.
If we make a decision to continue with our speed watch, what would be the cost of procuring a camera suitable for Windows 11?
Well, I think the camera that Community Speed Watch UK website promotes people to purchase and buy. When PC Turnham came and spoke to us last year, it was £150.
Right.
And that was for one. I think the idea was some groups might get it'd be for individuals to get whatever they need.
Yeah.
Bill, can I suggest we don't buy any equipment until we've got a team of volunteers?
Well, that's right. Yes.
Yeah.
Usually do this.
Yeah.
And David, it might be useful to thank you for all the information you've given us, but it might be useful if you could draw up, not giving you a job, but if you could, you're the driving force behind this, if you could draw up a job description, if you like, for any volunteer, so they know how much time is involved in anything they need to do, what expectation, the sort of notice period. Personally, my diary is pretty full. I can't allocate time without having a specific slot in mind. So if we could have some sort of a crib sheet of what volunteers are expected to do and their commitment. So an example, you said, well, there's two of you out there, but straight away I thought, well, you need a third person to engage in any passers-by or
Coffee.
and to actually engage, because people are going to be interested in what's going on. I imagine positively more than negatively, but maybe I'm being naive there. And then you can discuss with residents what's occurring.
Yeah, but I think the reaction people will get will be positive on the street, or largely positive. You might occasionally come across an irate driver who doesn't like being photographed and feels that he can take it out on volunteers rather than on the police if he's caught. But that would be, very unusual. There have been one or two problems, I know, in the Speed Watch campaign, which I've heard about, but they really have been very, very few and far between. the one reason why we chose to use the existing camera that we've got was very largely down to the data logger, because the data logger we could put up on a lamppost in any street in Woodley and monitor the traffic flow for the whole week without using up any volunteer time whatsoever. Then we could use the information downloaded from that to say, right, we go to this street, and this street. But that coupled with the exit points that are necessary, that does make it just a little bit more difficult.
Thank you very much. I think my final point will come to Jude.
It was just that finding the locations where you could set people up, though that's something presumably we can prep beforehand, because it's not dependent on kit or anything else. So I don't know whether that's something that could be done. I suppose it depends.
Well, I mean, basically, if someone came to me and said, I want a campaign in Church Road, first thing I've got to do is go down Church Road and find a safe point that it can be operated from. So that is taking account of the curvature of the bends, the camber on the road, the weather conditions, and most importantly, the exit points. So I would have to go out and look where best to place a camera. Then I have to send that location, that exact location, to the police for them to do a risk assessment on that location. And they will then come back to me and say, yes, that's okay. You can do that on such and such a date. That's the point the volunteers will come in at.
Thank you. But to the final point, we go to Robert. You had one.
Yes, sorry, Dave. Timescale. So if we say, let's put one on Church Road, how long would it take from deciding to do that until it was actually in operation?
If you said Church Road to me today,
Yep.
take away the problems I have at the moment, assume there's no problems there, I would endeavour to go down during the course of this week. That means I would have a report done by the weekend of where the best place would be. That I would need then to send to PC Turnham by email, and I would imagine it would be 2 weeks before I got a response. So I would have thought 3 weeks minimum.
Okay, thank you very much. Right, I think we've covered most points on that. So thank you very much, David, for that, and for everybody. We move on to
Mr. Chair, I'm sorry, but would you mind very much if I bowed out of this meeting now? Only I'm expecting carers to turn up any minute, and I've already had one episode of accident to deal with. So if you have no objection,
no problem.
I will bow out of this meeting.
Right, yes, no problem at all. Thanks very much.
Okay, thank you. Good night, all.
Bye, David.
Right, item 11, early station footbridge. Don't think we can have much to say on that, but I'll go to Matthew. I mean, if you want to just bring us up to date.
Yeah, of course. Obviously, this is a project that's kind of been kicking around for the last couple of years with the committee. Obviously, those that are existing members of the committee will know about it. The purpose of putting this together is really just to give those new members on this committee an idea of exactly where we are with the replacement of the footbridge. The only update I really have for you is I have asked Wokingham several times this year for an update on the last inspection. The last inspection we were notified of was in June, and we were understanding they were taking every few months. But we're still not getting a response as to what the last inspection came up with. The bridge is still open at the moment, as far as we're aware, so it is still being used, but that's the latest point. Otherwise, I think everything that I know was in the report, and I've obviously directed you and given you details of all of the minutes and appendices where they are, because it's quite a long, complex process up to now.
Thank you. Karen.
Yeah, there was an inspection made last week, so I think it's probably now is quite a good time to ask Working Borough again. I did ask if we knew the results, but when I asked, it didn't know, but it has just occurred. So I think there was a meeting today with the officers concerning the survey. So it would be good.
The last email I sent was on the 15th. Last week. I haven't had a response, and that's probably why.
Yeah, okay, thanks very much. Any other comments on that one? Okay, thanks very much. Right, we come on to community issues, and this is an opportunity for any member to bring up any issues relating to community. Anybody have any issues they wish to raise? Okay, and highways issues? The issues on highways? Potholes? No? Okay. Right.
So,
So, yeah.
there was one. Some of the residents are getting a bit concerned that some of the roundabouts, especially in Woodley, some the hedges are now quite high, so they're quite dangerous
Right.
in looking to the right. So, is there anything we can ask working to?
There should be a regular grass cutting on those, and obviously we should make comment that we don't feel that's being done regularly enough for road safety. Do that.
Which area specifically?
A4 by Marks and Spencer's way, that's Reading Road, so top of Reading Road. End of Pound Lane, that's the road, I guess.
Yeah.
Those sort of ones that kind of tuck the
Yeah.
A4 on the way now.
Yeah,
Okay.
so A4-ish.
Email. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other points? No? Okay, publications and information. Received the following, the Me2 newsletter and Connected Communities in Berkshire, just to make you aware of those. Everybody happy with those? Yep. Future agenda items. Yes.
Yes, could we put on the agenda, please, the future of the Cycling Woodley subcommittee?
Right. That's been included in another committee there. Has it not?
It is, no, it is still a subcommittee
Yeah.
of this committee,
Yeah.
but it is now a separate committee, being a subcommittee.
Yes.
So if we could discuss it as the future of that subcommittee,
Okay.
and the relevance of it, and have a discussion in this group.
Yep. Anything else on agenda? Do we want to come back and revisit our speed watch? If we can get any updates as to where we are with that, or do we want to, do you think we should leave it a little bit longer?
Could we ask, sorry, could we ask David for a brief report next meeting, please?
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Right, publicity and website. When's the next Herald due?
Yeah. We can certainly get something out in terms of website. Social media and stuff.
Okay. Yeah. Any other things that we need to highlight either in the other website or in Herald? Okay. And finally, ultimate issues on page 14 and 15. Just the two notifications. Six Clifford Drive, still without planning permission, and about being created without planning permission. These are notifications that haven't got a result yet. I take it those ones. And enforcement closures, you've got a complete list there. Most of them have either been satisfied or with deference for breach in the first place. So. Okay. That brings us to the end of the meeting, unless there's any other business. Oh, thank you very much for attending.
Thank you.
Thank you. Brilliant.